Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of 3 Live Canes. As always, I am Chris. There's the box that denotes that over there. It's a box that says Bill at Canes Legacy. And very soon, don't worry, we will have a full set of hosts for you guys today because Steve will be down there right below the two of us here to talk to you guys about another week in Miami Hurricane football, a return to practice. So CF Cane fan, don't worry, a return to practice, a return of the whole crew, like our respective mini vacations. I think Bill was sick. Part of it too, just battling, trying to get on the air for you guys, but it is what it is. Going to miss some time. It's no big deal. But we have a great opportunity to see these Canes very soon. And George Blissett says, I'm a new fan of the Canes. My grandson is now in the team, freshman Brock Schott. Excellent, George. Happy to have you. Happy to be talking about the Canes. Good evening to you. I see you up there too. Good evening to you. And hopefully we'll have even more positive stuff to say about Brock and your whole family here in the near future once he gets some pads on out there, gets on the field. That's what we're here to talk about, positive stuff. Before we get into all that and make fun of Florida State a little bit for them banning reporters from all football-related activities, I'll go over to Bill and say, Bill, how you doing tonight?
Doing much better than I was last week. That stomach bug was destroying my household. It was like the scene from Family Guy when Brian Griffin and the whole family just throwing up simultaneous. That's exactly what was going on.
All of you? Was it the whole, really everybody?
Me and Hudson for 2 days, and then the next 2 days was my wife and the baby. So yeah, kind of. Yeah, but we're all good. We're all good. Team's back. We're practicing. Pads are close to coming on, and we are to bigger and better things.
Bigger and better things. Pads on, healthy family, all good stuff. Like we said, Steve will be joining us. So 3 Live Canes back in full force, back alive and healthy again. Here to talk to you about spring practice. We got to talk to you about the landscape of spring practice across the country because obviously we've been hitting on the little changes as time has come and gone. And CF Cane fan already posed a question. Would team make a good shared practice game like Colorado was proposing? We'll talk about that. I think that's a very interesting thing to talk about. We have a lot of little pieces of the puzzle to discuss here about Miami and how things move in the future. I know last week you got kind of sidetracked by a lot of the draft talk, but honestly, the closer we get to that, the more situations pop up just a month away from the draft. And maybe it's been 25 years since the last Miami #1 overall pick. So a good opportunity to talk about that as we head into it too. So a lot of good stuff for you guys on deck as we get closer and closer to what will be a spring game, which is, the next time to watch actual football with pads on for mass consumption. So excited about it. Thank you guys for tuning in to 3 Live Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, and he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.
Hard dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one.
Who else?
Who else but Sean and who else but us here on a Wednesday night to talk Miami Hurricanes football with you all. Bill, obviously we're at a point in the spring where we're not really seeing the team out there in a way that we'd be seeing them in the fall. There's a lot of things that are going to go on. And with, the modern day of college football, even the roster of guys you have out there during spring practice is going to be inevitably different than what we will see come fall with departures and additions and all those kinds of things. So, we're still in grain of salt territory. We're still in, trying to catch clips of highlights that are posted on Twitter territory. But just so far, any impressions that you get from, a lot of the people that are talking about what's going on, if people get a chance to go and see some of the practices, anything that you picked up on so far that you're excited about?
Yeah, I think kind of the biggest news of this week, and that's what only, 1 or 2 practices, but kind of was JoJo Trader really emerging, having some really good days. And, it's exactly what you want, right? Because that, talented, freshman last year that you kind of saw the glimpses of in the bowl game against Iowa State. You really want to see him keep taking those next steps to to be that, true number one for this team. And, maybe if he's able to convince that coaching staff that, hey, yeah, I am that dude. Maybe we don't have to go into the portal and, spend to get that big number one guy. We can use those funds, at another position. So, pads aren't even on yet. So obviously, like you said, grain of salt. But I believe the pads come on, I think tomorrow. And then I believe there's a first scrimmage light on Saturday. So once the pad comes on, that's kind of when I really start to kind of zone in and pay attention to what's going on, and then you'll start to hear a little bit more about defensive lines, because there's only so much you can learn from them essentially being in shells.
Yeah, but it's still good to get it, like you said. It's still good to get some of the information, and if there are guys that you're really hoping to see take that next step, obviously, you're always going to go to the lines because those are the guys that you need to get play in, play out. Guys got to step up and all that. And we'll get to that in a second. But it has to be encouraging that one of the first names that people like to throw out there is JoJo Trader, considering where we are at the receiver position, which is, if you were playing a video game and you're looking at this roster and you're like, man, this dynasty is going to be sick in a couple of years because these guys are consistently gained 4 or 5 overall points year to year. You're thrilled with how it's going to look, right? But obviously, this is a situation where you're hoping that this year some of those guys really take that next step. And JoJo is the one who came in with the most acclaim outside of a Malachi Tony, who was having his own way with the spring so far. But has to be encouraging that JoJo is one of those guys, because the receiver position right now is maybe one on the offense. Well, it is the position on the offensive side of the ball where there are the most question marks.
Yeah. And funny about that college football dynasty, because I just did a new Miami one in 4 years, right? When last year's freshmen were redshirt seniors. Marquise Lightfoot, Booker Pickett, and Armando Blunt are like dominating defensive ends. I had 3 of them, but one of them at D tackle, and they were just causing havoc. But Armando Blunt's another guy that was, getting a little bit of buzz as well. And again, it's another 5-star freshman right last year. I know he's young for his age as well, but he's one of those guys that, could turn into a freak right on the defensive line, something that you don't typically see. Right. We've had some, good defensive linemen, recently, but I don't know if any were you could define as like freaks, right? Outside of, Rousseau, Phillips, but, guys that can, go inside, outside. That's really what, you want, to pair with like a Ruben Bain and, what we did in the portal, 5-star Justin Scott. But, I think if Armando Blunt can really emerge, that's just another weapon on the D-line for a new defensive coordinator, Corey Heatherman, to work with.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys, like if it's not receiver, the other position where you're kind of in that wait and see mode, where I'm hope someone really pops and someone really makes that transition into being a great player, even though it's early on in their careers. We talk all the time about, just like real quick aside, but talk all the time about getting guys in the room, right? It's the Joes, it's not the X's and O's in a lot of cases. Once you have those dudes, then everything else starts to kind of work itself out. We hear all the time about the guys look different. Every time nowadays where someone goes to practice, they're like, it looks like the way a national championship competition level team looks, right? They compare to the SEC schools, they compare to this, they compare to the Big Tens, and fine. We hear all the stuff, right? Well, now we're at the point where those guys that look like they are the upper echelon need to actually go out there and make plays. And we have those guys. And if you go down to SEC territory, like these guys that are coming out in the draft after 3 years are guys that started as freshmen for teams that are winning the SEC, right? Teams that are competing at a high level. So this is our opportunity to get some of those guys ourselves. And realistically, with the way this defensive line looks, we need a couple of these guys to click now for next year. And we're talking about the Justin Scotts, the Lightfoots, the Armando Blunts. Like these are the guys where we need JoJo Trader to be a legitimate player this year, just as much as we need these Justin Scotts and Armando Blunts. We need 1 or 2 of these guys to click, because I could see consistency from some spots, but I think we need greatness from this defensive line if we're going to be good, especially with the way Heatherman plays his defense, because we're going to get after it. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to be fast. Can we turn around and actually make some plays with this defensive line? Do you think that these guys are going to be able to do those things this year for us? Because this is the effectiveness of this defense may hang on the shoulders of 19-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say at this point. We really don't know what Corey Heatherman's defense is going to look like at Miami. We can go back to Minnesota. Look what he did there. I would assume it would be very, very similar. Right, probably some tweaks here and there with some of the athletes that he has. But we were sitting here at this point last year saying we're good on the defensive line. Look at all the dudes we got, and that fell apart pretty quickly after, they dominated the Florida game, the non-conference opponents, and then it just kind of, fell apart, right? They weren't nearly as effective, and, there was issues all across the board, front seven or, D-line, back end, linebacker. Potential is definitely there, right? The quickest way to turn around this defense that was, atrocious last year, and that's probably being nice, is for that D line, right? I think we were talking about it, right? October, November is, if the defense is going to take steps forward, it has to come from the defensive line. We retooled the secondary very, very nicely, probably better than anyone could have imagined. I still have some questions at linebacker, but defensive line, the talent's there. We do have a little bit of age and experience. We do have a nice mix of young, talented guys as well. So it's there. I'm cautiously optimistic that this defense is going to take a significant step forward, but I think I have to see it first, and we're gonna get a very, very good glimpse of that right in the first 4 weeks of the season. Opening Notre Dame, and then a couple weeks later, that fighting DJ Lagways are coming to town with all his Heisman hype, and they're ready to put a gold jacket on that dude.
I mean, I know he was a good recruit and all, but like, be honest, did anybody see him play at a level where you're like, oh my god, next year?
He made some pretty highlight worthy throws, but I mean, I posted on the board weeks ago. I just kind of pulled up a stat comparison, and it just wasn't good. I think it was 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and 6 of those touchdowns were against nobodies. I think there's still a lot of questions. All talent in the world, super athletic, cannon for an arm, but again, is it all going to come together for him and that Florida offense? And also, don't forget that Billy Neighbor is still his coach, so that's probably not going to help him too much.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, especially now in the modern age of college football, we've seen enough guys that came in with all the potential in the world, looks, maybe doesn't quite click, and they transfer, then they transfer again, I mean, look at the draft. I mean, this year's quarterback class has, I think, of the top 10 players, I could probably look at the list and just rattle them off, but of the top 10-ish players in the class at the quarterback position, who you got? You have Ward transferred, Shador transferred, Howard transferred, Dart transferred, Rosemar transferred, Shuck transferred, Yours transferred, Gabriel transferred, McCord transferred, Riley Leonard transferred. So of the top 11, the only guy that didn't is Milrow. What we talking? Come on now. So in that kind of age, and that also means that a lot of these teams are pulling out veteran quarterbacks, and that's the way they're winning games. And for Florida to go with a guy young and then say we're going to ride this thing out and see how it goes, that's not how a lot of teams are doing it these days. So even that itself is kind of scary if you're Florida. They are now in the minority of college football in terms of hoping that a young kid can click from freshman year all the way until the end. I mean, hell, even Arch Manning sat for 2 years in the modern age of college football. And the faster we're pushing guys to a starting level in NFL, we're waiting on starters in college by transferring in seniors and juniors. So
what's even crazier, not to turn this into talking about all Florida, but if Graham Mertz didn't get hurt, odds are he sticks with Graham Mertz, and he probably ends up getting fired. Even though a lot of the other pieces of that team kind of came together at the end of the year, it probably isn't enough. And Vegas has their win total at 6.5 this year. Another brutal schedule, but if they lose to us, I'm pretty sure that that's the end for Napier, because they're going to lose another 3 to 4 games in conference. Even if Lagways takes a significant step forward, they're still going to lose a bunch of games. I think
they just don't have enough around him to make it work. They've lost they're losing some guys to the draft who were important to them and are just bottom feeder type players. They're in a desperate state now. The guys that they needed.
They lost a lot of transfers to like good schools, like Arkansas, LSU, Oklahoma. I think it was one of those. The other's Oklahoma, but they're going to be relying on all that freshman class that they spent all that money on. So bold strategy. We'll see if it works out for them.
Yeah, we know how that goes. But it's funny, like those conversations, we're talking about relying on guys that are in their second year and at key positions, but they're really relying on just whatever they have and see if it's going to go out there. And at the very least, you still have guys in this Miami defense that can help lead the way. Like, I don't think anyone anticipated ever that they would be as bad as they were last year, specifically with players that we had the caliber that like if someone would have told you before the season that OJ was going to step up and be like a legit starting corner in a major college football you would take it, like, and you'd be thrilled, like, oh, that means like we're really clicking if we even have the freshmen stepping up, right? If someone were to tell you that, there were times where there was other defensive linemen even out playing Ruben Bain, you're like, oh my God, we have 2 All-Americans, 3 All-Americans on this D-line, right? So like we have guys there. It's just a matter of them all putting it together. And kind of funny that Miami took a very different approach. I mean, I understand why they did it, but it's funny that Miami took a very different approach to the defensive line. And you could even say the linebacking core to the secondary. Secondary, no stone unturned. No stone unturned. Bringing guys in the second straight year. We're loading up in the portal to get guys in here and see if we can't make something work compared to the defensive line. The linebacking core, where it was, no, we have guys here. We got those are guys we trust. They gotta click. They gotta make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, look at the recruiting, rankings for those positions, since Mario's got here, and kind of the glaring one, was the secondary, whether it was, a quantity issue or a quality issue. But we kind of rectified that in, one swing in the portal. You bring in, a bunch of guys, we talked about them already, but a bunch of guys with multiple years of eligibility as well. And that gives you a chance to, again, backfill that with recruiting. You bring in, a couple talented guys this class. Even looking forward next class, you already have Clem Portis' son, Camden Portis, committed, and then Seatbelt Waters as well. So I think things are the arrows pointing up in terms of the overall talent and approach to the back seven.
Yeah, and keep stacking chips back there. It's like the receiver position, except that in the secondary, we know that when guys click, they usually click and they're set for 3 years, right? Receiver, you're always looking for different things, different fits, different position, different spots, and ultimately different results from those guys. But corner, we know we have OJ. Now OJ's locked in. Can we get guys around him? Can we be sure that those guys can carry the secondary? Because when Miami is good, 2 things are consistent. You have strong safety play, consistent high-level safety play, and you have elite defensive line play, especially on the interior. If we could do that, build up solid up the middle, then have your high-level talents on the corners and in both the edge positions and an actual playing cornerback, then the defense will work. I don't care what defensive system you run, but Miami has had a lot of different styles, and when you've had great defensive tackles and safeties, Miami has won games.
Lance Guidry says, "Hold my beer,"
or
is moonshine. I don't know.
He said, Lance Guidry said, "What'd you say? Play defensive tackles at corner? I could do that. I got that. I can make that happen." CF Kane fan, Poiser's a stud. Steve-O said it a million times. Guy that can tackle, guy that knows how to tackle. Which you think you take advantage of, or take for granted, I should say. A safety that can actually physically tackle, and then all of a sudden you see a year of football and you're like, oh, gotta make sure they can do that. I guess you gotta make sure they have that in the bag. So yeah, hopefully he's one of the guys that they're like, once they put the pads on, they're like, yep, that's a guy. That's a guy. And Caesar mentioned before, I put it up on the screen, but I didn't talk about it. But guys like Moten, like that's a dude. That's a dude. That's a guy that needs to play at a high level, and he's going to be upper class. He's an upperclassman now. That's a guy where you would hope to say, like, if he can turn the page and become the force that a lot of people were excited about, great. Dylan Day is up next. I hope so. A
lot of positive vibes around him as well.
These are the guys we need. We can't, I love the transfer portal and the idea of bringing in talent. Some cases it needs to be the guys that you have in the system for a couple of years, or I should say in the program for a couple of years, and then like they take off. hit that next step, hit the spring, hit the summer. Like, this guy's different. He's figured it out. Going to go do something special. So Days won, Moten's won. I mean, OJ turning it up. Scott, Blunt, Lightfoot, like a Lofton on the offensive side of the ball. A lot's going to be on his shoulders. Probably a lot more than he anticipated when he signed on.
Every linebacker we signed from last year in the class before that.
Yeah. I mean, guys like Bobby Pruitt, who, become the greatest linebacker in the history of football and video games. Like, he's got to be a pretty good one in real life too.
He busted out in the most recent one I just did. He just hung around like being like an 80, 81. So he had to go, but I think his career trajectory will be different in real life versus that.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, we're relatively early here in the spring. Still a lot more to go, still a lot more to see. But talking about the spring culture and how it's changing, over time, I think the most glaring one for fans will be the whole, how's it working during the spring? What's the portal going to look like after? How many changes we're going to see over the course of time? Spode, SP1, SPO1, Artavius Jones, another like great candidate for being one of those guys that kind of comes out of nowhere, and not out of nowhere, but a guy that steps up and makes big plays and finds his way into things. But speaking of coming out of nowhere and finding a way into things, Steve-O. What's up, Steve-O? How you doing?
Nothing. I just fixed my audio, so I was like, Steve-O. I was like, all right, it works. I was tweaking. I was messing with it.
What, you got a Christmas sweater on there, Steve-O? What do you got going there?
PJs. I just showered up, man. I'm doing a bunch of laundry, so I got a Canes shirt, but it was way over there. I was just jumping on. Usually, I like to be in Canes attire, but I'm tired, man. Whew, I am tired.
Hold on, Bill, I see you're about to say something, but do you want to say? Because I have a question for Steve-O.
No, you can take this one away.
Steve-O, do you wear like a full-on matching top and bottom pajamas to go to sleep?
Oh, hell yeah, bro. What are you talking about? Yeah, it was good. It's chilly out here, bro. It's like 65. I'm about to walk my dog after this, nice little. I mean, to be fair, I only got like 2 matching sets. Mostly I sleep in shorts. I'm probably gonna take this off, or if anything, take the shirt off. But I just be sleeping in ball shorts. Fan on, glass. I don't sleep with pillows.
As the kids say, Steve, I like the drip.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's a great season.
Actually, I haven't talked to Steve in a while either.
I gotta go to the chat. I gotta go to the chat on this one. I have to ask you guys in the chat, how many of you have matching top and bottom pajama sets? hey, grown men in the chat. Can you please tell me how many?
Yeah, all right. I'll see how much of y'all are single in this bit. Start identifying yourselves, man.
Last week my daughter came to me and she was like, Dad, I don't want to wear the matching like top and bottoms anymore for the bed. My 6-year-old daughter was like, come on, that's over now, Dad. Steve-O's gonna get his matching slippers.
No, don't make me pop I got the Papa Bear slides. Don't make me do it.
I think we need to see these, Steve. I would like you to get them.
What did I miss, man?
So I do have one pair of matching ones, but that was like the Christmas ones.
CF Kane fan. He has 3 of them. That's a lot. That's a lot, CF Kane fan. I understand that.
Right there.
SP1 only on Christmas. That's fair.
I think that's acceptable.
Yeah, this is my Christmas one. It's not my other one is Christmas too. I just threw it on because I'm doing laundry.
Steve-O, but he means he wears it on Christmas, Steve-O. It's March 19th.
Yeah, because we do, the stuff. So yeah, the Papa Bear side. Yeah, these go with my other set too. Yeah, hearing me my Papa Bear slides.
I don't.
I'm well taken care of. My lady she don't spare no expense. Jacket, slides, slippers. I'm good to go.
I don't feel that I'm hating. I feel like I just needed to know. I just needed more information. I just like information, and I just think it's important to ask questions. That's all. I'm just an investigative guy. I have like that natural journalistic quality in me. That's all. But anyway, Steve-O. What we've been talking about so far is just like the kind of like the way things lay right now in the spring. Talking about different positions where we're hoping to see guys, especially with the potential for like different spots, different positions, things to click. Kind of like we talked about in some previous weeks here, but the idea of like the receiver position, you're waiting for guys to see what's going to happen. Different ways the defense has been set up for different like spots for that. The Artavius Jones of the world, the Motons of the world, the Blunts of the world, it kind of boils down to like what positions we're looking at to be the ones where we need guys to step up in a big way, and kind of comparing that to some other things out there. But just go to you, Steve-O, real quick. Obviously, it's easy to say a couple spots, and we talked about it in recent weeks. But like, what are the positions where like once we get slapped the pads on for spring, where you're looking at certain spots, like we need guys to step up here?
There's a bunch. There's a bunch of there, but key when it comes to making sure you win football games, D-line. In my opinion, D-line played, below the standard last year. You could blame scheme and a bunch of stunts, all that stuff, but regardless. So the sum of the parts did not equal, what it was supposed to be. And literally, we're looking, other than Ahmad, Moten, and Bain, who's coming off a year where we didn't see Ruben Hurricane Bain throughout, the entire season that he played. I'm really thinking people have to step up there. I'm sorry. Like, they have to step up at D-line. I mean, this is now, probably Friday or maybe Saturday they'll be in full pads. That's when you start to see, more trench warfare starting to heat up a little bit. You'll start seeing some of those inside battles, inside runs get run on for, an extra extended period of time. And now the pads are clacking, juice is going. So I would hope the D-line steps up. If I wanted to go offense, I have to still say tight end. I know there's a lot of receiver talk, and I get it because pretty much, Jacoby George and Restrepo was our offense, receivers for like 2-3 years. And before that, it was Rambo and this and that. So we really have no, like, we've had sneak peeks of Ray, but barely, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I'll still go tight end just because it's Lofton, and then you're looking at who else is going to step up in that group.
Yep. Yeah, and right now it's a lot of hope. At least for receiver, we kind of know what certain things are going to be. We have a pretty good idea about how the outside receivers are going to go. We know that we have some guys that could potentially be really good in the slot and all that. But tight end, you're really right. It's Lofton and who we got.
That opens
who
up
wants the job.
Opens up some, probably some targets for Brock Schott, right? He's coming in as that, athletic tight end. We have his grandfather in the chat, if he's still around.
Yeah, Brock Schott's grandpa's in the chat.
But even just thinking about how they used, kind of Lofton last year, I don't know if he'll be the primary tight end target, but I feel like there will be a role for, one of those athletic tight ends to, get some targets. And again, we know Carson Beck likes his tight ends. Elijah Lofton can't do it all at tight end. So there's going to be opportunities, and, Schott is a very, very talented kid, with the athleticism to get on the field early.
And we are 12 personnel, 30% of a game. You're going to see multiple tight ends, especially you start getting in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. We're going to put tight ends on the field. So that's where that's why the biggest question mark is who's going to step up, because we know Lofton. I hate to say we know Lofton. We've seen the flashes of Lofton last year. I still think he has big shoes to step on. Arroyo was probably one of the better athletically tight ends that we've had since Njoku. Just being real. So yeah, he has some, big shoes to fill. But yeah, the tight end room is wide open. If there was ever a position to just come in and play immediately, it's tight end.
Yeah, and he fits the prototype, like Bill was saying. He's the kind of guy that, we're looking at there. Lofton, I think, covers a lot of your bases with his versatility. You got your 12 personnel set up right there with the multiple, but you could also send Lofton in the backfield. You could do stuff with Lofton that, I don't know how many Penn State games you watched, Steve-O, but like that Tyler Warren did for Penn State, kind of line him up forever.
Yeah, that white boy live. He's definitely getting drafted to the white team. He might be a first rounder. We got the tight end position locked down, but yeah, he's going to be another good one.
Yeah, it's like that. That's the stuff you can do with him. And if you're doing that with him, then who knows what you could do with a kid like Shot and get them out there. So
Shot could definitely fill in the Arroyo slot to even outside role. When we started moving team one like versus Wake Forest, when we moved Arroyo outside and it was just Jacoby next. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Blissett? It really comes down to, there's a role on the team that's missing. Like Arroyo was 6'5", Lofton, hella incredible athlete, but he's a different player, right? He's more of a guy who can get in and out of breaks, make plays with the ball, stiff arm a guy to the ground, spin move, truck a guy. He's a football player, but he's not that big security blanket tight end over the middle that, Arroyo was, or that guy that you think that you could just throw up that 50-50 ball to consistently. I'll still throw that 50-50 ball up to Lofton for sure, but I'm just saying, like, during Arroyo's career, he's probably came down with like 70% of those up balls. Yeah. I mean, that you threw to him. So when a kid like Shot comes in, and it really just because you have to pick up verbiage, but you're really the tight end in the skill set. Luka Gilbert, in my opinion, is more like a Riley Williams, was an all-around tight end. So Luka Gilbert, I think he's going to fit into that really, really, really like cornerstone of the offense, especially in the running game and, just being physical, being 6'7", but they really don't have anybody else who can go out there and run routes. I loved his film review. Obviously, I love doing pass catches mostly. He has great footwork. He has a really long stride. Love that because he can break, defensive backs. When you're a long striding tight end, you have got corners who are scared because they can get beat, but they just get head tops. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to get the ball jumped over. So they bail early, and then that's when you sit it down. You have a 10-yard out, or a 10-yard curl, and now a 158, or let me not say that, 180-pound corner, 190-pound corner has to tackle a 215 tight end. So he could definitely be in position to go. To be honest with you, I have my eye on him. I think his year is going to be next year, just because I think he'll get his feet wet like we saw with Lofton last year, and then get an expanded role following through. But when it comes to, if I'm looking for a receiving threat out of a tight end, I mean, he's got to shoot to it. He got to shoot to the top of your list. And then now Jackson Carver, third-year guy, has all the athleticism in the world. It's pretty crazy sports. He's actually one of the best kids to talk to, honestly, on the team. You're going to have to hold him out. It's going to be a great battle to see because those are two more athletic, rangy tight ends that have some size.
Yeah, and SP1 like thrown in there too, Bowman too, as well. So we another guy we're getting in the portal. The idea of going out there and contributing right away, a guy with experience. Like we have bodies for sure. It's just a matter of like who's going to get that spot. And like you said, like once the pads go on, we'll know a lot more.
His all 22 tape is impressive, bro. Like this dude is finishing D linemen, like finishing them. He's probably going to factor in. Is he going to be a better receiving threat than he was at Tulane? I don't know. He was a pretty good receiving threat at Tulane, posting 550, with a lot of other mouths to feed at receiver. That's not bad all day. But he is definitely not a bum. That's for sure. I would hope, though, that somebody put so much pressure on him that you should start seeing packages with some of these younger tight ends. Just because I'm just looking for the future of that room. I think Bowman might have multiple years of eligibility, so he could be around 2 years, but I need somebody to show me that tight end is well and going. So like when we went from like Njoku to Herndon to like Brevin and then to Arroyo, it's been nice. Now we're going to Lofton, so I want to see who's next up because tight end U is just not something we say. I mean, my parents were telling me that since I was a kid, and it's true as hell. Like every Miami team has that one tight end that you have to factor for.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back. Go ahead, Bill. What you got?
According to Miami's own website, he's listed as a senior, so he should be one and done for us. He did have stats for the previous 3 years, so I don't know if it's hard to tell if he redshirted, but I don't believe he did.
Yeah,
it's hard. And they pull eligibility out there out there something out of nowhere. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that tight end room and what's to come now and the future. Because you could look at the receiving room and say, okay, there's future there. You have Malachi Tony, you have Nikar, redshirt freshman, JoJo redshirt freshman, Chance Robinson, redshirt freshman. You got not a log jam, but there's a nice like little nucleus of guys who are coming back on campus for their second year. that still have yet to show what they can do at this level. So we have the potential and stuff to go. So I'm really zeroed in on that tight end room and the D line.
Just real quick, Steve, I do want to switch over to the line, but you mentioned before that you really liked Bauman's all 22. Like, what specifically stood out to you about him?
I mean, bro, like being a tight end, you have so much responsibilities. You could 1v1 at the end on any given play. You could be the guy cracking at the end. You could be a guy having to get your inside shoulder up to that wheel linebacker, and then it's your responsibility to play. If you don't get to the safety, it's a 5-yard gain. It's not a touchdown like it's supposed to be. There's so much stuff you put on a tight end. Imagine just you're playing ACC for lack of, people say everything they want, but bro, we have pass rushers in the ACC, bro. Everywhere you go, you better know that you playing Pitt, that team is going to have good D linemen. You're playing Clemson, they're going to have good D linemen. Even Florida State, they overpaid for it, but they're going to have a good D lineman. Like, you better have a tight end who could freaking chip in there, boy. Like, yo, you can't leave your tackles there all game, because that's how they start scheming around and pushing through it, overloading the side. You have to be able to – his all-22 tape was impressive. And it's not even just as a blocker. He has some actually really good away from body catches. I like hands catchers all day. So I've seen his tape. My little homie Cam Roberts is committed to Tulane, same with another one I trained with Antoine. He's there doing through spring practice right now. So I've seen some all-22 tape, checking him out. I don't know if he's an over-the-top tight end. I think he's more of like a Zach Ertz type tight end. He's gonna make plays, and he's gonna be a tough tackle.
Okay, and this just popped up from Jason Real Hip Hop. Steve, I'll go to you on what do you think about that. He says we still lack game-breaking speed at receiver, and Tony Talk CFB responded with, not really. Malachi Daniels fast. You got a couple of spots, but maybe more so guys that we're not really talking about in the top of the depth chart.
Yeah, I mean, Malley, Daniels or Malley aren't like game changing. Like, oh my God, they're the fastest people on the field. But bro, straight line speed is so overrated at receiver, bro. Just separation, quickness, and route running, and you will be just fine. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, I mean, Xavier Restrepo, just look at, he's the leading receiver in Miami history, bro. Do you think he's the fastest player in Miami history? No, he's not. He's fast enough to get the job done. He's definitely going to run a 4.5 coming up in his pro day. But, man, that speed is so overrated. It really is. But we do have Nykar, who is sliding. Nykar is fast. I probably would say he's probably the fastest in the room right now over CJ Daniels, maybe CJ. But if I had to guess, I'll be seeing him this week at practice. I was supposed to go yesterday, but I had caught up. But I would say Nykar because every time I see him, he's pretty fast. Look out for Dalen Upshaw. He's gonna be a really, really quick one. Might not be like a 4.3 guy, but super quick 4.4 type of guy who can just get up to his top speed quick. And then, I mean, we don't really got that, the South Florida super speedsters. JoJo's faster than most people would think. It's just super smooth, but it's a good room in my opinion. Would you like to see some speed? Yeah, but sometimes you miss some guys like that, like a Barney who went to Nebraska. Like there's enough on the team, but yeah, I get what you guys saying. It's not a true speedster that's gonna make a safety sit at like 15 to 18 yards. They might sit at 12. We're still gonna blow the top off, but it is what it is. Jacoby George isn't really a straight line speed type of guy, and he's getting vertical on everybody just because your suddenness, your moves at the line of scrimmage, all that stuff. I know I rambled on it, but it's a receiver question. We'll be just fine, but yeah, you miss a Tyler Williams. Like, we've just been missing the true take over the top speed guys in the last couple cycles. But I think we'll still be okay. I don't think we have any slow receivers. There's not one receiver like a couple years ago. No disrespect to like a Michael Redding, but he was more of a possession guy that didn't have that ability to make a game-breaking play if he had the chance. If you throw a ball to chance like over the middle and you don't get him to the ground, he's going to take that thing. So I think we've elevated from that, but we're still missing the true top tier speed in the receiver room. It's true, but we do have Nykar.
Yeah, we really haven't had too much success with those South Florida speedsters lately, at least. it seems like they get here and, for whatever reasons, they can't get on the field or they can't put it all together. But, kind of like what Steve was saying, it's overrated, and I'm a sucker for speed. I want all 4-3 guys, but you have a guy like X that could just make plays, even like on screens and stuff, make one guy miss and get up the field. So maybe it's a little bit of a different approach than what I would typically think Miami would do, consider where we're located in terms of recruiting. But if you get guys that can create separation and you have a quarterback that can deliver them the ball, you're going to have a successful passing game.
Create separation, but are great after the catch. Xavier Restrepo, Jacoby George. Jacoby George is probably one of the best, if not the best, in the country when it came to just that quick screen. He's getting 10, almost a first down every single time. He's going to make that first person miss, and that's all you need on the screen. So we have those type of receivers. I like guys who can make plays with the ball in their hands. Like Dalen Upshaw, I'm actually really high on him. I've loved him for a while. I know Canes fans we've had the ups and downs. He's from Alabama, he's going to Auburn. This. That's Coach KB's guy. That's the type of guy KB is and likes to coach. He likes the guy get the ball in your hands and do something with it after. That's why we brought Ray here. He's a fast guy. Ray's fast. I should have mentioned him. Ray is fast. I think this might be the fastest he's been in his career at Miami. Like, this is now third year. Everything's working on. He put the weight on, got used to the weight, cut it up, more defined. And now he's probably having his best consecutive, spring practices, whatever you want to put it in. He's doing his best in the Miami uniform right now. So you just want to get guys who can make plays with the ball in their hands, bro. That's really what I care about. A receiver. Is it great to have that straight line speed guy? Yeah, it is. just so you could have it. But we brought that in with Tyler Harrell, a couple years ago. Insane speed, basically almost 4.21 type speed. But did he crack the field? And that's no disrespect to him. It's just, these guys were just getting wide open. Why would you not throw it? Like, they're just making your job easier as a quarterback.
And plus, probably like when you scheme up like an offense, obviously you love that, guy that can go downfield and go crazy on it. But like play to play, it's not really feasible versus a dude like Restrepo who play to play is always going to be in a spot where you can make a play. Like, he's always going to be somewhere you need him to be. So how are you going to ever take a guy like that out to put somebody else in if their one skill is running fast?
Yeah, to be real, I like, even with so much unknowns, it's easier for me. I know a lot of these kids, seen them play, Josh Moores. I've been telling y'all about him since he was 14 years old. Like, the first ever, iteration of CanesInSight Live. I was like, hey, bro, this kid he's a little league freaking phenom. People like that. But you just understand that there's just certain players down here in South Florida that you feel confident in as long as they're being put in a position to maximize their talent. I think this offense is going to maximize some of that receiver talent. I think this is a good offense for Chance Robinson. He's a really, really good polished route runner, strong hands, very hard tackle. He's literally looks like he's a linebacker when you see him. He's just so well built together. He's one hard one. I think getting him the ball and, with a lot of setups for one-on-one tackles, and he could break those. I think that's a great job for him. Ray. This is obviously a slot-friendly offense. You've seen Xavier Restrepo these last 2 years in it, and any spread offense is a slot-friendly offense. That's the person who's getting the ball the most. So there's a lot of things going our way that could help this talent kind of explode. So I'm really going on that. I would say Carson Beck has a better receiver room now than he did at Georgia, just because of how terrible it was at Georgia. I lost like 2 parlays because people were dropping balls out there. And I forget the guy, Dylan Bell, 86 or whatever, who dropped like a 40-yard post versus Notre Dame. You probably win that game if you catch that and just walk into the end zone. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would think even with the uncertainty, I would say Carson Beck's going to have a better receiving room. Everybody's slimming down a little bit, getting faster. I'm not going to, go full in on our strength and conditioning staff like everybody else does. Everybody's body's different. But it is nice to see some of these kids that have came here with speed still looking fast, if not faster. I think Ray's one of those.
Yeah, there's been times in the Miami past where guys that came in fast and we did different things physically with them, to take some of it away, trying to overbulk them or whatever it might be.
DJ Dallas weighing 220 pounds in 2018 season, getting hawked in versus Central Connecticut State. Yeah. What the hell? After yeah, come on, bro. That was fireable, but it's okay. I like our strength and conditioning staff. I think it's easy to get all hype with the shirtless pictures and them boys putting on masks, but like when you're really thinking about it, bro, since Mario's been here, I haven't seen one player been like, man, he looks slow. Like, man, he was way better coming in. I mean, in my opinion, Horton got faster, in the program. You'll see Jordan Lau. I think he's going to step it up a notch, even though he's put on some weight. Obviously, he's a running back. They're going to do that in college. I mean, by necessity. I think he'll be faster. I think Mark Fletcher, you'll see a different speed from Mark Fletcher this year now that he's healthy. And he was never a guy that, we bulked up. He came in at 228. He's just a big back. Yeah. So I think the narrative, it goes more to past regimes than, ours, current one, for sure. But Canes fans gonna be Canes fans. I get it. We had players like Brashard not look like Brashard, and then you went to SMU and he's running a 4.39, and it's just like, but I get it. But I don't think this regime is fumbled like the weight and losing, guys losing speed and stuff like that. That's more of like a 7-6 type of Manny type of thing.
Thing. Like the big, you remember the big ones over the years, and you're like, oh, this dude. But recently, no, it's been a whole different conversation. Guys getting bigger, stronger, faster versus bigger.
Yeah, look at Popo. He's looking monsterish, and he's moving sideline to sideline when you see him out there. You're seeing DBs up and running. I don't know. I think we've been doing fine. Everybody's body's different, and you gotta understand they could put these kids on the plan. Don't mean they following it, bro. That's the worst thing, is sticking on some of these kids to actually do it. They can't be there and make you eat this. They could bulk you up saying, hey, you have to be doing this on the side, this certain amount of cardio, doing this drill. And if a kid slacks off, now they're bulked up and they didn't get that extra, explosion that they were trying to put on with that muscle. So it's hard to just blame a strength and conditioning staff, bro. These are still 17, 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids that are driving Benzes and getting paid mad money now, bro. Feeling like they made it. I mean, let's be real. So, I think this staff has done a good job. I like what they've done. I'm going to see Amari. I can't wait to see him. He's having a great spring as a freshman. But, bro, look, Amari had a crazy injury. And that medical staff has been with him from the next day. Great surgery, doing stuff, and now he's out there full go. I mean, I think the strength and conditioning has been perfect.
And thinking about like kind of going big picture with it, the opportunities that these guys get. You're trying your best to get these guys physically ready to play, and then also the factor of I know we're a long way from the season, but this is the time when we have to do it. We have the opportunity to make changes and adjustments based on what's working and what's not, which brings us to the other conversation that we wanted to have today with, and maybe over the past week or so, I think maybe we touched on a little bit last week, Steve-O, but the idea that the spring is changing in a lot of ways and how people are making the adjustments, where you have a Florida State team that's basically saying nobody's allowed to see us. Like we're just shutting the doors down. We're going to do spring practice in the dark at night with no lights on, like nobody could see them. And then you have over here on the other side of the coin, we have Colorado, who says, we're trying to make spring something different. We're trying to have a game against somebody else, which
I want that so bad.
That's like what high schools do now. Like that's like we're changing the college game to reflect more like what others, like what lower level schools do.
Yeah, and they're trying to say more like professional. No, more like high school.
It's high school.
So this is how it goes. So Miami usually runs in pretty much every big name college, and every college they run what they call inter-squad scrimmages for spring game, which means you're going on yourself. You however you want to split the depth chart, half is on this side, half is on this side, right? Basically, you're putting 22 of your own players against each other every snap. So the higher rate of injury of one of your players during spring is high.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders is the reason why everybody's talking about this, but I like that. I like that you're using your voice and your platform to something that might be better for the game and better for these kids, especially since they don't have preseasons and stuff like that. So playing against somebody where now I'm lined up as a DB, and I don't know this receiver's tendency. I don't know that he favors the split release, and he likes to do this, and he does that. And, I got this quarterback, and, Judd has a beautiful outside ball. I got to make sure I'm on top of him. blah blah blah. I'm on my trail technique, whatever it is. It's just something different. The NFL does it all the time, joint practices in the springs. I don't know if it's gonna get to like joint practices, like multiple practices, and then a spring game. I would think maybe like one practice against each other, maybe two, and then spring game. Not enough time. That's a lot of money. Yeah. But I would love to see that. I mean, bro, think about Miami. There's in the state of Florida. I mean, we could do inter squad versus FAU, inter squad versus FIU, half our team over there and staff over there. Yeah. Like, inter squad versus USF, UCF, whoever it is, bro. That's the best thing that could happen to rushing the development of some of these players. Is there going to be downsides to it? Probably, but if you look at anything, there's going to be downsides. I think the pros would outweigh the cons there, and it would give something fresh, for fans to digest. Would it also be taking opportunities away from guys lower on the depth chart? Because when you split the teams in half, guys get a lot of playing time. So that's also another way to look at it. Hey, do we try to give them as much live game reps as possible for the guys we know we'll need, or hey, do we want to try to get live game reps for guys that we're trying to see if in the new era are we going to push this kid out or not? Yeah. So that's going to be a big conversation. But I would love that, in my opinion. I think it would be good because as long as you have the space, you can run. You can go 1 and 2s versus 1 and 2s, and then have your 3s and 4s, which is most like your freshmen and stuff like that at that point, just, coming in January, going against, other freshmen and stuff like that. So I think it could work out. We'll see how it goes. If Colorado pulls it off, I think it might start a trend, which is a good thing in my opinion, because like I said, it's just better. It really is. Inter-squad scrimmages, coaches won't have to worry about having 22 potential injuries on one snap. I mean, it shrinks in half to 11. So, yeah, I think that would be cool, to be honest with you.
Bill, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, spring games are inherently kind of boring. It's very just vanilla, but I think about maybe doing like a, one practice or one joint practice and then, spring game. And obviously that could be very scripted with, you work with the other coach, say, okay, first 3 drives are 1s, next couple drives are 2s, and however they want to, structure it. But I think kind of the joint practice, right? You get your receivers, DBs going, one-on-ones, some one-on-ones with offense, defensive linemen. You could do 7-on-7 type stuff too. That could really kind of help break up the spring and really give you a better idea of who you have, right? The term Green Tree All-American, for us, right? It's a real thing, right? I think sometimes guys are very, smart, right? They figure out kind of how to win practice, right, against the same people every day, and it makes them look better and, gets some hype in. But then when they get into a game facing someone that they don't know inside and out, it's a much different result. So I would love it, like a televised joint practice on, maybe Friday night, and then
ain't televised no practice. You better be lucky they air that spring game. They won't have us fiending for some nuggets.
Binoculars. D-Money sending us tidbits, that's all. What play-by-play of D-Money.
To answer CF Canes fan question, imagine us doing a joint practice with South Carolina and you get to watch Dylan Stewart go against Francis Mauanoa in one-on-ones. Like, that's combine NFL.
32 NFL teams will be in attendance.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, you're going to have somebody there because those are 2 top 10 picks for sure. That would be crazy.
Be awesome.
So possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like, you could match up like, this top corner versus this top receiver, just like how the NFL low key markets. When they market a game, they're going to be saying, Jalen Ramsey, covering whoever the Seahawks, so it's DK, or I guess Steelers now, but DK Metcalf versus Jalen Ramsey, or, Cooper Kupp in the slot versus Byron Murphy or whatever, that's how they do it. So it would be a good idea. I think it's going to get some traction after somebody does it and proves that it can work, because there's just a bunch of old people still in college football that are holding on to old ways. And I care for those people because those are the people still holding this thing together.
Yeah,
if it go full out with the old in with the new, if it go full 100%, I don't know, bro. we in dangerous territory. But it could work. I think some things like that. You got a lot of freshmen that I would think that would also be even bigger incentive for kids to enroll in early, so they have to handle their schoolwork, be more prepared because now you're taking a business trip. Yep. You're flying in. You could do like a home and home series with the team for a spring game. Hey, you come, you come here, we go there, like or you have spring. Tell FAU we'll do 2-1. You come twice, we go once. Like whatever the case may be.
I do want to point out CF Kane fans comment here, and he says go against OSU, Jay Smith and Georgia on the field together. I just want to go out on a limb here and say, no, we're good. No, that's okay. That's all right. We don't need to go against Ohio State in the spring game. We want to go into that summer feeling good. We don't want Jeremiah Smith to come.
Ohio State don't even want to do that. They're paying their roster too much. They want to go against Toledo, Bowling Green, those type of schools. That's exactly what they want to do, and that's what would do. And if I'm Bowling Green and the other schools, hell yeah. Just hopefully your kids don't have an exit meeting the next week and be like, yeah, coach says he thinks I'm Big Ten worthy, baby. I'm out. I'm gonna go be fifth.
That is a conversation, though, right? Like,
it's gonna happen regardless.
Yeah, I guess so, right? But just like you get to watch that guy up close, and now all of a sudden, like you're a Bowling Green's coach. Oh, it's Eddie George. You're Eddie George, and all of a sudden you're playing against Ohio State, and you see the Ryan Day eyeing up your running back.
Yeah, like, that's a common thing, though. Think about when people sign to a new team in the NFL. They usually go to a division rival because you play them twice every year. They know what they're getting. So they're more inclined to spend.
Like when the Dolphins signed Zach Wilson. Like they knew exactly what they were getting when they went.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Like that's the guy, man.
I just think the Jets are terrible. I think Zach Wilson is actually pretty okay as a quarterback prospect. He's still young. He could have what y'all did to Sam Darnold was crazy. Not as bad as Carolina. Carolina had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on the same roster, and they still was searching for a quarterback for like 3 years. Them boys are $100 million men right now. That is crazy. And I always liked Baker. So, I just thought Cleveland's offense was trash. He's under center, handing it off to Nick Chubb 30 times, trying to play action. Did you see Oklahoma play? Like, it looks more like Tampa Bay's offense to me. So, yeah. We knew what we were getting with Zach Wilson, but it is what it is.
So borderline on defending him, Steve. That made me a little nervous. But here, we're going to hit this real quick before we start getting out of here. But see a game and also said I see we're all be on NFL Network this Saturday.
Yeah, we've been on NFL, bro. We the show. We was on NFL Network last year. Slapped Trillion Boys up and DEF CON. It's crazy. OT7 is on NFL Network. You stream it, and like they have the games on their YouTube page, so you can always catch the raw games on live YouTube. But the NFL Network, they do the last 2 games, and they try to put us, they do put us on because they know everybody want to see. So we'll be on TV with a bunch of Miami Hurricanes prospects, and I'm pretty sure we got a care package coming in, so you might be seeing a lot of green and orange on them kids. How we like them.
Pretty good. Just like I got my Team Raw care package last week.
Yeah, I love how that worked out for you, Chris.
Steve-O, you should create Team Raw matching pajamas.
Ooh.
Not go hard. Low key. You
guys fly somewhere, the team can wear them, relax on the plane.
We
got a travel fit. I need a buck from one of them kids because their stuff go way harder. One of them just getting left in the airport. If we got to cut a jet, I'm for letting them boys know, hey, we're gonna have to get that jumpsuit. That's your medium. That's your medium. My boy, you can keep the cleats. I already got my 10.5 from y'all boys this year, but let me get that jumpsuit, my boy.
What if I think you go Team Raw all the way down, and you go from like all across the chest, and then Raw down the leg?
Team on it.
Team Raw, like right there.
Nah, bro. They put Raw or just Raw Miami.
Oh, you can go Raw Miami then. What? I don't know. I'm trying to help you out.
Yeah, I like to just say raw because I'm just saying some of our best players this year from. Yeah, we on the recruiting board.
Yeah, Raw Broward doesn't really have the same ring to it.
It doesn't have the same ring to it, but we on the roster this year, baby, and we looking strong. We got Samari, which was actually training his little brother to play at Hollywood PAL, and then Amir Sears, A1, who's probably going to be the #1 prospect in South Florida for 2028. He plays at West Broward High School. He has already every offer you could imagine. He's probably I guess you can compare him to like an Ennis, where everybody knew he was going to be the #1 player down here. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, on both sides of the ball, corner or receiver. I'm super excited about that.
Look at that, West Broward, you said?
Yeah, he played at West Broward with Josh Moore.
Okay, I was going to say
Was he not? West Broward got a squad. Z went to Eastern Michigan. Obviously, Josh went to Miami. Zig, yeah, West Broward been building up low key because they're in like a different bracket now. So things going.
All right, look at that. The rise of Broward will always be documented on 3 Live Canes. That's like half of what we do. I think Bill and I honorary Broward residents. I think from the amount of time we've hyped up Broward County, so
yeah,
we're all part of it.
The proof is in the pudding. We got some new additions to the Canes. Some 954 Canes who are going to be impact players day 1.
That's what we're looking for. But that'll do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Another successful, wonderful Wednesday spent with our fans and people willing to jump in the chat. Great job by everybody that was over there. We appreciate you guys greatly. All Miami fans here to have a little chat in the middle of March. I mean, what's being a fan if it's not getting a chance to talk about it? What's wrong?
Nah, I was reading, is he going to reclassify? I don't know who he's talking to. I hope not. I hate the reclassification. Them kids think they're getting to the bag more, bro. They cutting the NIL in like at quarter, bro. Stop reclassifying. I don't like it. Unless you're Matley. He'll be okay. That NIL ain't changing. But for most kids, that NIL changes, bro. So you're on a discount when you just jump up trying to get that bag, bro. Stay in your, bro. Enjoy it. Go to prom. Tell a girl you love her that you'll never see after you go to college. Just do it. Just do it. I want the kids to stop reclassifying so much, bro. Different situations though. You have kids that are going into their proper grade, like a J-Rock situation where it wasn't like he failed anything. It's just his birthday was past the deadline and stuff. Those type of situations, all good. You're physically ready, but just jumping up because the school says, "Hey, we'll put $75,000 in your account tomorrow." Yeah. A lot of money, but I hate it. I hate the trend.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see what happens with it. College football. Like you said, we have no idea how this is all going to shake out over the next couple of years. So we'll see how it goes.
Hopefully some of these old guys win some of these arguments because it's a slippery slope, my boy. There's a reason why.
Steve, to use one of your words, Steve, we are currently sliding down that slippery slope.
Yeah, it is. We are calabunga, dude. We are sliding down it. Because bro, there's a reason why NFL contracts are multi-years. You can't just get up and leave the next season. Like, imagine, I don't feel like being the quarterback for the Chiefs no more. Let me go live in Miami. Yo, what's good, Dolphins? Like, Patrick Mahomes cannot do that, bro. Like, you cannot just be like, it's been real, KC. I'm out. You could try to force your way out, but you can't even leave the Browns, bro. Like, Miles Garrett trying to force his way out. He's $40 million a year. Your kids will never have to work again. I guess I gotta take it. This is like, you can't. Like, so I'm just hoping, that type of stuff will work its way out in a couple of years, as long as we have a governing body. But regardless if it goes wild west or not, Miami's going to be ready. Miami's ready now. We were one of the first forefronts. I know Manny's not here, but bro, we were one of the first ones with NIL, and I think our structure is great. There's been a couple, Florida State, Clemson, LSU, Bama, Alabama, all these schools have had like issues with NIL recruiting. We're like the only school that the NCAA sent like 30 probes to, and they haven't caught nothing on us. Like nothing on us. So we're doing it the right way. I think Miami's going to be good regardless, but would love it just to come down a little bit. Let these kids be kids for at least one One more year.
Yeah.
You'll be getting top talents like a Nicholas Lanier, who's with us in Raw, top two-way player in 2027. Could technically, could be one of the best players, if not one of the, the best player in the country when it comes to two-way guys, athlete or whatever. There's probably going to be internal pressure on him next year to try to, get to college early. And I would hope that, is the best for him? Maybe, maybe not. I would hope that he wouldn't be rushed into something like that.
One of those deals. Only time will tell. And like you said, the pressure comes from all sides at this point. A lot more voices in these kids' ears these days than
a dude's little league coach talking to these guys trying to get a bag, let me get 5,000. I'm gonna call his mom. I used to pick him up every day and take him home every day. His mom trusts me. Let me call. I see these slime balls all the time, bro. I told one a day about himself trying to get 2,500 out of this. I'm like, yo, the kid's getting 1,500. Why would you get 25? I tell him about himself today. Why are you getting more than him, bro? You're not out there. Like, what? Why are you getting more than him? I mean, it's under the table money. Kid shouldn't be getting it, but why are you getting more than him?
It's crazy. Like you said, old guys win an argument. Now's the time.
But, yeah, not Miami. Obviously, you guys know. But, a very trash school in West Virginia. But
now we narrowed it down there, Steve. It's about a couple of them. It's a couple of them.
There's a couple. But yeah.
Anyway, but that'll do it for us. While we'd love to sit here and disparage West Virginia some more, and we could really spend all day doing it. But if we have things to do, good place to go. Steve-O's got to go walk his dog wearing his Christmas jammies. I would hate for him to make him a little bit too late getting out there. But we'll say goodbye to you all. But first, before we get out of here, final thoughts for the people. Bill.
I think in honor of the upcoming weekend of college basketball, I think we should all throw out our national champion prediction for March Madness.
Oh, did you do your bracket, Steve-O?
I don't care for it. College basketball is probably the most unappealing thing to me.
Way to put a damper on the final thoughts.
Yeah, my bad.
Killing us, Steve-O.
I'm 365 Canes football, baby. It's hard for me to care about any other sport, especially basketball.
There have been times where I think people are like, obviously, like they'll talk about basketball today, right? Because there's a big basketball thing that's happened, and we're just totally no sell it, like not a word.
Shout out Coach Lucas. I hear nothing but good things about him, but yeah, that's all I can give you.
Do you want to just throw a team out, Steve-O? Just whatever.
I gotta look for a little team because the Dukes and the Kentuckys, they don't do well in tournaments. They're all 18-year-old 5-stars, and tournaments are about continuity. So I'm looking for a small, low-key team that's been together, for 2 or 3 years to gel.
St. John's.
The crazy thing is, isn't there like 50 St. John's? Like, I feel like there's like a lot of St. John's.
What?
I feel like there's a lot of schools called St. John's. But
I got the brackets right here. I see one St. John's. There's a St. Mary's.
Oh, how about this, Steve? How about this? We'll do it this way. Pick Southwest, East, or Midwest.
I'll go Northeast. The boys hooping out there.
All right. Okay, guys. So 1 through 16. 1 through 16.
4.
All right. So you have selected Arizona.
That's a good one.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, they don't fold like the big. I mean, they're a big name in basketball for sure, but they're actually They play in the Big 12. Hell yeah, I'll go Arizona. Arizona. They already play in their regular conference is basically the NCAA tournament. They play Big 12 basketball.
Exactly. 100%. So Steve-O's got Arizona. Bill, what you got?
I really wanted to go St. John's, but I don't see them getting past Texas. I don't see them getting past Texas Tech and Florida. So I'm gonna go with
St. John's and Queens. Not my girl texting me.
Yeah, Queens. Yeah,
it's in Queens.
Steve-O, there's only one St. John's. It's just the one.
I don't know why I thought it was a bunch of Saint schools. You know how crass Catholic or Christian schools be? It'd be 100 of them, bro.
Yeah, just a saint everything. Everybody's got a saint. Half of them John. St. John the Baptist. The other one, like it's all over the place.
Some Cinderella team got a saint in front of it.
I'll take the best player in the tournament. I'll go with Duke. I think Shire gets his first one.
You think Duke?
They got some older guys though. They got some
Duke.
veterans. So.
That's true. I mean, it ain't Coach K getting straight one and done straight to the freaking lottery. But I mean,
They got a good mix. They got a good mix.
Them boys, they are known for number 2 on the money. that is what I would call Duke. And it's weird. We got a lot of Miami football fans that are Duke basketball fans. My boy Jules is one of them. I'd be like, yo, bro, you ain't even been to North Carolina. Like, what are you doing?
I think it's like because it's out of state, or well, it's not him in his case, but like a lot of out of state fans. But either way, and plus, like they were both really good at like the exact same time, like that early 2000s. Both of them were like the upper echelon, so high level front running being done. But to add on my pick, I think it's only appropriate that this is. I didn't change a thing on this, but my championship was St. John's, baby. St. John's beating Duke in the finals. See, when I picked them, I thought it was the St. John's out in Seattle. So
there is St. John's. I told you there's more than. He's probably trolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's probably a St. John's. It might not be in Seattle. It might be in Tacoma. Somewhere out there. I'm telling you.
Let me see. I'm just going to Google St. John's College real quick. Oh, Annapolis, Maryland. Yep. St. John's College. Oh, there's one in Oxford, England, too. There's a St. John's College in Santa Fe.
Told you, bro.
There's a St. John's College High School in Washington, D.C. So I mean,
college, high school? That makes no sense. That identifies as a high school?
I guess.
What type of credits you getting out there?
These kids weren't doing well, so let's just downgrade this to high school because it's not working.
Yeah, it's a dual enrollment team. What? It's a dual enrollment team. That's crazy.
Oh man.
Thank God Hoodie Girl's not in the chat right now.
I think after like the 30th episode where we did talk a word about the Miami Hurricanes basketball program, they just shut it down. They're like, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to do that. We're like on February 9th and we're still deep into football discussion, like during the Manny era. Not even like now, like deep in the Manny era.
That was
February.
prime time though, bro. Off-season champs, bro. February Manny era? Manny era?
Fair point, Steve.
Oh. Hell yeah. Lucky sports betting wasn't out like that, bro. Them parlays would have been flying, tackling the 7 and 6 dummy or 6 and 7 dummy. Them boys, send it.
Oh man. But Steve-O, final thoughts with the people.
Good times. Everybody enjoy yourself. It's spring football. Next time I see you guys next Wednesday, I'll probably maybe one, probably two, most likely. Saturday will be in pads, so I'll definitely hit my guy up and slide. See Amari, see some of our raw kids, performing, check in on them, and then I'll see how it is. Just keep your cool, Canes fans. It's Nugget time. It's spring football. And just enjoy yourself, love your family, and we'll be here next week. And I'll probably drop a nugget or two. I already know some very, very, very good ones that people are saying to send in. Like one that's everywhere. Everybody's talking about JoJo, but probably around maybe this time next week, they'll be talking about Markeith Williams being like, oh my God, he's out here just balling like that. Like we don't know. It's coming.
Look at that, Steve-O. I like. There's a lot of times where Steve-O says, "I'm going to drop a nugget," but then he like holds off, and then he's like, "No, I'm going to give him a little bit more, just a little bit more."
Just a little more. I'm not a guy. Usually when people tell me stuff, usually they tell everybody, "Oh, but don't say this." Like they don't even have to get that. They just tell me, "No, I'm not going to say anything," because I'm gonna just either wait for the game to happen. I'll be like, "Yo, I told y'all he was from the ball," or two, wait for him to commit and just pop. But I think a guy like Markeith Williams, who's been playing a lot impressive in the slot, they move him now to nickel area at sometimes of practice. Pretty sure he's going to be still going over the top, but something that I like when you get a new safety coach, new defensive coordinator, new also cornerback coach, everybody's looking at these kids differently. and saying what can they do or what can they draw out the best of them. So that might be a guy you hear about in a week or two. They're like, oh wow, he's quietly had a best spring. When you're looking at safeties, everybody's like thinking about Poyser who just came in, who's balling for sure. I mean, he's going to be a 3 and done out. So he's 2 years at Miami and be out. But yeah, you'll hear some good nuggets about players I think are meshing better with this secondary coach than previously, and that's no shock to them, but there's a reason why they're not here.
Yep, that makes sense. And speaking of nuggets, I got one more question of you, Steve-O. What does your lady friend think about you wearing your jams to the show tonight?
She'll probably text me it, but I don't know.
What does your gut say? Now that I know she's watching, I wanted to throw it out there because I assume you'll get a text message soon. But what can you assume? Can we make a prediction? Well, let's go to Bill. Bill, what do you think? What do you think his girlfriend thinks about him wearing his jammies to the show tonight?
I don't think she's going to be a fan of that being on air, but I don't know her. But I'm just imagining.
Well, she's from New York, so she's obviously a sophisticated woman.
Yeah, she's Puerto Rican and Dominican. She's pretty feisty, but I don't think she's tripping about PJ.
She's gonna hit you with a slipper or something.
Well, I mean, she bought them for me, so she could throw them one time.
Those are hefty too. Like, can we see them again?
Nah, them things light, my boy.
Let me see.
Things
I want to see the side.
Thing.
It looked like it was like some thickness to it.
Yeah, no, I got a little. I mean, it's all the way over there, man. If I was like a key member in the Fantastic Four, I'd reach over there and grab them. But I'm just a normal guy.
Okay, all right, Steve. So you don't know what you think? Positive or negative? What do you think? We should do this for recruits. Like, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean. Bro. Recruits don't care, bro. Them boys barely remember.
No, I mean, like, we used to do like the thumbs up or the thumbs down for like.
Oh yeah.
So like, this is thumbs up or thumbs down for your jammies. Double thumbs up for jammies.
Yeah.
Blue chip lock.
Yeah, lock for sure.
Love the jammies. All right. So we'll find out in due time. Of course, I'm excited.
Next episode.
Okay. Leave them with a cliffhanger. Leave them wanting more. It's what TV is all about. But anyway, that'll do it for us. Thank you guys for tuning in to watch the show. As always, we appreciate you guys jumping in, participating in the chat, having a good conversation with us here on a Wednesday in the middle of spring as we work our way towards the actual spring game, however that might look, and then the summer, and then workouts and portal and all the other stuff leads us to having a full unit of players there for the fall, where hopefully we get to improve on what we did this past season. So for Bill and Steve-O, Steve-O, you all right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we got locked in for a second. I thought something
happened. I was reading something that popped up. But yeah, non-Canes related. Okay, but somebody's about to be happy.
Just checking. But anyway, that'll do it for us. For Bill, for Steve-O, I am Chris. Thank you guys for watching the show. We will see you again next week right here on 3 Live Canes. Have a good night.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free. Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, and he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.